Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Pro Division in the second anniversary tournament. The video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, so let's go. Before I take my first shot, do not forget to check down in the video description for direct timestamps for the specific holes in this playthrough. Also check out patreon.com/golfclashtommy for booking a training session one-to-one with me, or maybe you want to get updated text guides to help you improve your game even more. So, Pro Division, we play from the second tee. You that have been playing in Pro for a while, I guess you know that already. And it's going to be very interesting to see what type of wind we're going to have now playing these holes. Start off by hole number 1. We need to make an over adjustment of 10%. I don't agree with the fact that our opponent is going left. I think that is going to bring more harm than it's going to bring joy, if I may say so. I'm going to go straight forward. It's very important here that you do have a driver that gives you at least 5 bars of topspin. 4.5, like for the X-Mile level 7, is going to be too low many of the times, and we are going to have to play, if so, very close to the rough there on top. I'm playing with the Thor's Hammer level 5 with max topspin, 6 bars of topspin, and max side spin to the left. And then I'm going to aim for the fact of bouncing before the rough and the sand, to bounce in the rough on the top of the sand and then roll out on the fairway to give myself a very nice and easy wedge. Or sorry, short iron it will be. I slightly go with overpower. As you can see there, I did stretch out my club into the position that I wanted to, and then I adjust my range, which told me that I should go with a tiny bit of overpower. Perfect bounce in the rough there. We roll in a very nice way into the shadow part of the tree, 370 yards, which will be a perfect mark for us while going forward into the tournament, because it's always important to note down how far we did go with our drive. So we, in that case, in a later, like in opening round, weekend round, we can really rely on that. Like, okay, if we do get it to drop here from this type of distance with this type of adjustment and with this type of drive, going to definitely be easier for us to drop a little bit more. Second shot here for us now, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to, of course, be easier than I have to play up on the right. So I'm going to play with my short iron, and I'm going to go for the dunk. And in this case here, I'm going to play it as for minimum distance of my club. And you will see here that I'm basically, I am in minimum position, basically right at the pin. The problem I have here now is that I need to play this one as for being uphill. So I need to under adjust this shot for being 20% uphill. So the thing that I do here is I do play minimum distance with no adjustment for the uphill approach, which means that I'm going to go short. And the thing that I'm going to do here is that I'm going to play this one for minimum distance with a 20% uphill adjustment. So minus 20% with your adjustment, then this is going to be in every single time you hit it perfect. So you can see I'm going short, need a little bit more, but right at the pin. And I believe the dunk is absolutely the best way to go here for hole number 1 as for the approach in itself. Thorn, important club, as we do want to have the backspin, because if we miss the hole, we do want the ball to stop. Hole number 2, par 3. And we're going to over adjust this shot for 10%, and we're going to play with our sniper. Sniper is a key club when it comes to the par 3s this time around, as it gives us a good accuracy, or like a perfect accuracy as it is 100, but also a very good ball guideline. And our opponent here is aiming very close to the right side. I would say use more side spin to the right, so you can stay away from the rough and the water on the right side here. I would like us in this case to play with a side spin 3 ball, and that would be a katana or it would be a kingmaker. But also with this type of tough hole in itself, I would say a kingmaker would be good if you have some to spare. As for the side spin 3, but also the wind resistance 3, the power doesn't really matter here. Side spin, wind resistance is very good. So we're going to first and foremost take a look, where are we in terms of distance here. We are in medium distance of our club. I'm going to play with as much side spin to the right as possible, 4.5 bar backspin. using a landing position of having like half of the invincible ring in there to the right. We could basically say that we're having the blue ring at the rough there to the right almost. So, and then I'm going to adjust this one for 1-on-1. So 5 rings for the 5 mile per hour. It would be the same if, let's say I would be having a 7.5 mile per hour when I would be playing at 7.5 rings. An easy way to go with as medium distance with a 10% over adjustment like this is 1-on-1 with the sniper. We do bounce a little bit further ahead on that platform, but it doesn't really matter. That is the adjustment that we're going to go with. Very nice, very close to. Need a tiny bit, either move the landing position to the right, or we need to go with a tiny bit of curl. Hole number 3. Now we need to start by saying again that we need to over adjust our shot for 10% extra as for playing downhill. So we need to add that to the wind and then adjust our shot, or we're going to add that to the ring adjustment measurement that we're having to be spot on. 1 bar of backspin when we do have tailwind, so that is something that we're going to add directly as well. Max side spin to the left as well. Our opponent coming in hot, sit. Very hot. Getting into the rough here, even with straight tailwind, will not make it possible for you to reach for the green in 2. So that is absolutely a bummer. And you can see here now I'm going to play with a Titan. And of course, a power 3 ball, very important. Max side spin, 1 bar back. You can see here I'm stretching up my adjustment here, or my target, so I can see the second bounce just being on top of the bunker here in the center. The reason I'm dragging it up here is to build myself an understanding if I need to go with overpower or not. Because from this position here, I'm going to adjust my rings. Sure, I'm not having the take shot button as a reference, so I might be slightly off, but it gives me a clear reference if I do need to go with overpower or not. Because the worst case scenario would be in the fact where we pull it into max overpower, we cannot see anything else than that we will have the second bounce going into the bunker. That in our mind tells us we need to overpower. But when having tailwind, we can stretch it out, see the second bounce, then we adjust, and we sometimes have to go with a minor overpower instead of max, and sometimes we don't have to go with overpower at all. Tiny bit of curl to the left as well to help our ball to stay on the left side and also to compensate for a risk of hitting the shot great to the right. Our opponent here hits it good here from the rough and sure gets some distance, but again max overpower with a rough iron. I don't think there is, except for a max overpower sand shot. I think max overpower rough iron shot is absolutely the toughest shot to make. Now in this case I kind of read this very wrong because I went really short here, and this is something that we do of course need to reread and be a little bit lucky with the bounce. Sometimes we're going to go short, sometimes we're going to get long, and sometimes we're going to have a decent speed. But going this short that I'm having here is due to like 2 things. First, that I read the ball guideline wrong. The tailwind doesn't give us the push that we wanted to, and also putting a little bit of backspin. So take away the backspin, and in this case here I would as well go with a tiny bit of top spin, and then we take our shot with max numbers and we would roll nicely. You can see we're coming into the fringe, which is very short and something that we should be disappointed of with an open shot there towards the green. But then we can tweak that one and we remove the backspin and then we go with a little bit of top spin instead. Then it should be no problem. Hole number 4, par 3. And this is going to be an interesting one. I do believe that we could be able to dial this one in pretty nicely here. And I like the fact again that we're having crosswind left to right. Then we don't have to go with any curl, as curl often kind of mess it up for us in this way. I do like us to go with a decent amount of backspin like our opponent is doing here. Sure, he has a sniper level 8 and it's, what can I say, playing with a navigator. I think a navigator would be good as well to control the spin. Don't really, I would say like this, as we're going to have wind left to right, the ball is going to get a natural push to the right when we do hit the fairway here. If we then go with too much side spin, we're going to miss to the right every single time. And also when you do adjust, don't pay attention too much to the ball guideline, as the further up you come to the left, the more the ball guideline is going to fool you. So having a navigator, and I'm playing this one as for, you can see max side spin, which is 2 and a click of side spin to the right. and it's going to be 5.5 bar of backspin. 5.5 bar backspin I like. The 2 and the click to the right is a little bit too much. I would say 1 bar of side spin to the right would be good. Look at the landing position here with basically my white ring just by the rough there on the left side, with the ball guideline at the last bounce with the ball guideline at the distance of where the pin is. Then I adjust this shot for 1-on-1, which means again with the sniper, which is 6.3 rings for 6.3 miles per hour. Coming in very, very nicely here in terms of speed, and also this and distance. But we do need to go with only 1 bar of side spin to the right, then we're going to be absolutely spot on with that one. You can see as well with the ball guideline was over adjusted already from the beginning. That is to compensate for the push that we're going to get to the right. And again for the adjustment with the sniper is 1 ring per every mile per hour. But if you play with a guardian, or if you do play with a cataclysm or a big dog or whatever, then you need to play it as a medium distance with a 10% over adjustment, because you can't play it 1 ring per every mile per hour with any other club than the sniper in that case. So then we leave hole number 4 and we go to hole number 5. Here I would say full blast overpower, that's the way to play, because in the end, if we take into the fact that our opponent is trying to bounce before the rough here and going max overpower, it's going to be risky no matter how you're going to play, because you have so little fairway to bounce on, especially if you bounce there from the front. So I'm going to go full blast overpower with a power 5 berserker ball. So I think it's time to pull out some of the ones that we have been winning from the golden shot, in the golden shot hard one. Sure, if you don't have anyone, then you maybe have a snow globe. If you don't have that, you maybe have some power 4 balls. Sure, if you just have power 3 balls, then you will have to, in my opinion, play there from the beginning where our opponent was. If you're going to play from the beginning, then you play with an over adjustment of 25%. Very important, as otherwise you're going to go into the rough or into the sand as our opponent did, and then I would say the eagle is almost dead, as getting it from that distance, it's going to be very, very tough. You can see there, while going max overpower for myself, I went into the rough there on top, and that rough is not going to be a problem for me to reach for the green too. And then I can either go directly to the green with backspin, or I can bounce it before the rough, and you can see the 2 alternatives here, because I have a hard time to actually decide what to do when I'm basically in between in distance here. So it's important that you have a rough iron that gives you a lot of distance, and the Nirvana of course is going to be that club. Here first I can go with some slight overpower and go directly to the pin, or I will have to play it just before the rough and try to bounce it towards the pin instead. Nonetheless, getting into the rough, it's going to be to secure the eagle there, and that's what we're looking for here on hole number 5. Sure, if we're lucky with a drive to stay before the rough, or we roll through the rough, then good, then we're going to go for the pin for the second shot. But it's still going to be a very, very tough one here. 4 bars of topspin as I'm using here, using a 3 ring adjustment with a Nirvana from max distance, and then unfortunately hit it great right, but will not be any problem whatsoever. Bouncing in, coming in a little bit too hot, but still gets down there to the bottom of the green, and give myself a very easy shot here, or like very easy putt to make an eagle. And that's what we're looking for again. So even though it didn't look like beautiful, looked kind of ugly. So in that matter, we did make it well. So hole number 6 here, and now you can see I'm actually playing with an account that is going to have a higher level apocalypse. But here I would say, even if you have an apocalypse level 2, go with that one. Apocalypse level 1, level 2 will give you the curl that you're not getting on the other clubs. And if you're not having the curl, you will have to hook it. And if you do have an apocalypse, you don't have to hook it. You can actually reach very, very close to the green without the hook. And then we're going to play with that shot every single time. Because then we're not going to try to mess up with the hook or slice and stuff like that. So again, I'm playing with a power 5 ball, and that is just because I do not want to overpower my shot, and I'm playing with a 3 bar of topspin max side spin. Again, don't try to not pay attention with the Apocalypse level 6, or sorry, I'm actually playing here with a Kingmaker as we don't need more distance. With an Apocalypse 1, 2, 3, go with a Berserker if you want to, or a power 4 ball, then you don't have to overpower that either, otherwise you will have to. So I'm putting the red ring just by the rough there to give myself some margin, and then I'm going to adjust 4 rings for this adjustment as for being in max range of my club. Max curl and no hook. Now I hit the great right, which is unfortunate, but of course try to hit perfect. You see we bounced nicely on the fairway, and with the 3 bars we roll nicely up here. But you can also go with 4 bars of topspin here, or 3.5 if we do want to. And of course with a perfect shot, then we would become then we would be coming a little bit more to the left as well. And in the end, if I can get close to the green for a very short wedge, I would take that shot every single time in the week. So very nice there. We're going to secure the eagle, but again, do not focus on the fact that there is an Apocalypse level 6. I tried some different stuff out, and this was the recording that this was a version that I liked the most. And I would say, again, doesn't matter what level you have with Apocalypse, but you might consider as the difference between an Apocalypse level 1, level 2, and level 3 compared to an Apocalypse level 6 is around, what is it, like 10-15 yards, something like that. Then it would be good to play with a power 5 ball instead of power 3 ball like we are doing here, to give ourselves that room of not having to overpower, if so very slightly. Chip it in! Take it in here for a nice eagle, and I would say with this type of wind here in Pro, this needs to be an eagle. That's just how it is. We can't say anything else about that. So here, this is a hole where we should just be, I would say, I think it's a pretty boring hole, as the reason is that we do have a very bumpy fairway. We're going to bounce on a bumpy fairway, then we're going to bounce on another bumpy fairway, then we're going to have a bumpy green to roll through the pins. So getting this hole in one is going to be very difficult. Sure, possible, but very hard to replicate if you do it one time. I'm going to adjust with my sniper down there, playing myself with a 6.2, 6.3 here. So I'm going to play the sniper medium distance with a 15% over adjustment. Hit it great to the right, but that was actually good because I used too little of curl, as I'm still coming in a little bit to the left. We do need more curl than what it looks, and that's kind of messed up sometimes when we play this hole. Max side spin always, and I play with a power 3 ball to first and foremost, like power 3 and wind resistant 3, side spin 3 ball. Power 3 doesn't really matter, we could play with a power 1 if so, but the wind resistance 3 and the side spin 3 is very important for us here, as reducing the wind and then go as much to right as possible. The more side spin we can play to the right, the less curl we have to go with, and that's always going to be good. Very important again, remember the over adjustment of the 15% for this shot here. Our opponent's going up there, but going to have a little bit luck there with the hill to fall down to the fringe and have an easy wedge. 2 more holes to go, and we're going to go to hole number 8, which is a par 4. And now we do have a wind that in my book doesn't allow us to go straight for. Maybe with a power 5 ball we could do so, but I think we risk too much for doing so, that we might going to have the trees in our face. And that's not something that we do want. So I'm going to play the rough bump here. Max side spin left. Max top spin, which is 4.5 bar top spin. Aim for the top there of the rough, and then we're over adjust this shot for 20%. So I'm going to play this shot 3.8 rings. And you can see as well that I'm going with a tiny bit of curl to the left. As for giving the ball the help that is needed, and that's always scary when we only see the tree and not the landing position, or not the landing spot. And then we roll out, and we have a very nice and open shot towards the pin here to bounce over. So the reason I went with the curl as well and not just side spin, as for we do need to kick our ball a little bit more to the left, as otherwise we're going to have the trees that we do have on the right hand side now from where we ended up now in the end. And that is something that we really need to stay away from, because that will cover our path towards the hole every single time. So therefore, over adjust it to the left. But the 20% over adjustment is very important, everyone. Do not forget about that, because then you're going to do as our opponent, go into the bunker, for an example, or into the rough for that matter. Second shot here, and I'm going to play with the Saturn. And if I would be having a little bit more distance, I could play just on the fairway on top of the rough, then I would do that. But now I can't because I don't have the distance. Therefore, I'm playing it before the rough here, trying to bounce it towards the pin. The adjustment here for this shot is that we need to over adjust the shot again with a 10%. And you can see I'm not using any topspin or backspin, but I would say half a bar of topspin would do good here with a straight crosswind. 2 bars of side spin to the right to just help my ball so I can aim straight at the pin, and just to compensate for the push, that tiny push that we're going to get to the left, I do play with a 2 side spin to the right. Coming in here pretty nicely, opens up, roll, a little bit short, and coming a little bit too much to the right as well. Half a bar of topspin instead of no topspin, change that, and then of course, being so far away, it's very hard to estimate how the ball guideline is going to be completely towards the pin, and that's something that we of course have to learn while playing. Hole number 9, last but not least, and here we're going to hopefully be a little bit lucky and get more tailwind than we're going to get crosswind, so we can reach over without any problem over the rough there on top. This wind is going to be tougher than we have in Expert, and for me that's strange. It's very strange. As for in Expert, it should be tougher than it is in Pro. And I'm going to go full blast over power, and I'm going to play for for getting it to bounce directly, like before the rough, directly over. But then we do need a lot of tailwind here. I'm playing with a power 3 ball and a Titan here, as you can see. And sure, we could play with a power 5 ball, but shouldn't be necessary. But we might have to consider that in some cases here, as you can see here with the top spin of 4.5 bars and also hitting it as smashed perfect shot, we have no chance to reach over the rough here. We're not getting enough distance, so we bounce into the rough like kind of halfway down, and are pretty lucky that we do roll down. Or like lucky, I know we're going to roll down as it's downhill, but lucky with the fact that, let's say we'll be having more crosswind with a drive, or maybe we'll be hitting our drive great, or even we mess up and hit it good, and we shouldn't be able to reach over. I got a question that was for, can you do a double bounce over the rough? Yes, you can, but you do need a club with more topspin than 4.5. So you kind of like need to do with a double bounce, you need to go with around like 6 bars of topspin as minimum. Otherwise, you're going to have the same type of like struggling part with that we have here with the drive, even though we didn't go with a double bounce. So this here we can go like now when we just cut the rough and roll out, then we're not going to be able to reach for the rough bump, which is unfortunate. But then we're going to play before, and I'm going to play with 1 bar of backspin and a couple of bars of side spin to the right to just take myself away from the right part there, so we do have a big room for a fairway bump here, even though we hit it great. I should be in that case going with a little bit more backspin, then we should be good here as well. Under adjust this shot for around 10% when you play, because it's played uphill, strangely enough. Thank you so much everyone for watching this playthrough for Pro Division in the 2nd anniversary tournament. Let me know if you do have any questions whatsoever. Also, if you do want to get updated text guides, check out patreon.com/golfclashtommy. The video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Good luck in the 2nd anniversary tournament.